As this practice develops, school teachers will begin to note the pupils' self-analysis and use it to plan the curriculum. At Strathaven School in the United States, the curriculum is being developed to affirm young people's lives and help them celebrate positive experiences. This recognises that being young does not prevent you from enjoying life, and that learning is also about the self. At Strathaven, experimental positive psychology courses have been on the agenda for the last 3 years.
I want you to write an individual to whom you need to express gratitude towards. Just take a couple minutes, think about it. I'm going to do it with you.
Today, teacher Kevin Haney is running a refresher session with students he first taught 3 years ago when they were in the 9th grade. He is developing optimism skills, encouraging students to respond to adversity in a positive way. He starts by exploring the theme of gratitude.
Anybody want to start us? You want to start us off since you guys are reading your own?
I chose my pop. I chose him because he's always been there for me, even though he and my mom got divorced. He's actually modeled his life around me. Before the divorce happened, we lived in Virginia. Then my mom and me, we moved up to here, Pennsylvania, and eventually he actually moved to a house that's walking distance from the one I'm living in now. That's just really powerful and meaningful.
Kevin's English class is just one example of how positive psychology can be introduced into the curriculum. Watching the class is a team of academics who have devised the program. Psychologist Jane Gillam explains what it is all about.
Positive psychology as a field really emphasizes focusing on the positive end of life. So what it means to be thriving, to be doing well, to having good relationships. What we focus on in this program are 3 routes to happiness. One route is positive emotion, and so how to feel more positive emotion, how to savor life, enjoy things. One is happiness through using strengths, so understanding our strengths, using them more day to day, with the idea that if we recognize our strengths and use them in life, that's how we find a life that's most fulfilling, is we find our niche by finding the strengths that work for us. And then in the third part of the program, we focus on happiness in terms of meaning. So what is meaning or purpose? And that's another route to happiness, and we work a lot with the students to help them figure out what makes their own life meaningful and feel purposeful.
So you ask 10 adults, what is your purpose? And I'd be willing to bet that more than half of them could not give you an answer.
I think it's a program that all freshman students should take, just because it really helps you feel good about yourself and feel like you can talk to other people, which I think is a skill that is desperately lacking in a lot of high school students.
I'm opening up with my family and friends more. I was very closed up with even my own family. I didn't really talk too much about my feelings and emotions and everything, but I am doing that more now. So.
Well, they reacted in many different ways to this course. It depended upon the lesson. If the lesson fit what they were feeling at the time, and what I mean by what they're feeling is that certain age level, they responded very well. They were incredibly receptive. If it was something a little bit more dry, something a little bit more content-driven, as opposed to having open discussions and dialogue, like any other course, especially for kids at 14 and 15, they were a little bit more withdrawn. But ultimately, I found good common ground to open them up to the more of the content-style stuff, and that was through anecdotes, through my own experiences. Everybody tells you you can't do this, you can't experience that, you don't know what love is, you don't do this, you can't do that, and ultimately it's frustrating. I've been in your shoes not too long ago, and I know what it's like to be slapped in the hands and say, you don't feel this way. It's impossible. You don't have the experiences. So here you are. You're about to walk out into the world, so to speak. You're about to go to college. What does something like this mean?
When I first was introduced to it, I had a variety of reactions, actually. Most of them were just sort of like, okay, so this is new, this is interesting. Eventually, as we got more into it, we were given deeper assignments, and I thought, wow, this is kind of meaningful and life-changing.
I got to learn about people, which was kind of good, like how people feel about some things. Like I liked some of the lessons we did. I guess were helpful. Like we did a lesson savoring, and we ate we were blindfolded and we ate food, and you just I guess you just savored it, and it was fun.
The first thing I noticed as a result of this program clearly was, as bold as it sounds, an emotional catharsis of these kids. When they were finally told that it was okay to experience life, that there is no ID card that allows you to enter life, they're very receptive to it.
Well, thinking back to ninth grade, I remember just being very unsure of how I felt about anything. It didn't really matter what it was. And I came to the realization that I was feeling things that a lot of people had said people my age didn't feel or shouldn't feel or whatever, and that very much struck me.
Next year, Jane and her team will be bringing positive psychology to some schools on Tyneside as part of a pioneering resiliency program.
I think that schools should be involved with the fundamental development of kids, not just as academics, but as people. The 9th through 12th grades are essential for kids in their developmental process. It's basically the building blocks of not just education, but of life. They're learning how to be people. They're learning how to be human beings. I think it's easy to pick up a book and analyze and interpret a piece of literature. I think it's hard to develop as a human.
This responsibility to take charge has been taken to the limit in Liverpool, where everyone has the chance to stand up in front of the class and perform. At Alsop High School in Liverpool, something rather remarkable is about to take place. A select audience of parents, teachers and friends has been invited to an evening of stand-up comedy. The show is compared by professional comedian Steph Davis.
Wiggle your fingers like this, okay, and to the side, and lower them into the lap of the person next to you. That's got you all. Look at the PE teacher, she's still down there, exercising her fingers.
But the evening is really about 8 pupils that Steph has been mentoring for the last term.
Okay, start the applause for me, please. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Please, Alan!
Everyone's all hot and sweaty, and it always reminds me, hot and sweaty, of my mother. My mother, it's so hot and sweaty. Do you realise it's the menopause?
Alan and his fellow comedians are undergoing an experience which Deputy Head Teacher Paul Dickinson believes will have a profound, lasting effect.
From a confidence point of view, for those particular students, it will sort of, it's something that you could use the phrase life-changing, which might be a bit sort of over the top, but for those students, I suspect it could be.
I walked in, I'm like, "Hi, Ange," and "Oh, yeah," and I went, "What'd you get me for Christmas?" And she went, "Yeah, love, here's £2. Thanks, man. Then we're walking away with it. Bring back the change, love. Bring back the change.
The project is supported by Creative Partnerships and the Liverpool Comedy Trust, with the aim of building confidence among pupils.
Is definitely one of the hardest things to pull off. I think it takes skill, it takes timing, it takes guts, and it does to some degree take talent, and I have ultimate respect for them.
Liverpool lays claim to being the home of English comedy, so it is no surprise that a Liverpudlian school should be the centre of this education experiment.
Alsop High School is the largest school in Liverpool, with just under 1,800 students. We are in a traditional working class area. The students and parents are very, very supportive, but the style of learning is they're very much doers rather than sort of taking back and listening to information.
Which is why, 8 weeks ago, comedy tutor Steph Davis was invited to become a temporary member of staff.
8 weeks ago, when we first came into this school, there was a really diverse mix of groups. Some who were really confident, some who were all over the place, and some who weren't confident at all. Okay, so you've got 3, but you added some stuff, didn't you? So you've got the exams, the PE, mum going through the menopause.
Yeah.
So they might just be your 3
23.
Yeah,
Over the course of her workshops, Steph's aim was to bring out the best in everyone.
Well, what we do is to get ideas out of them. We look at stories from their own life and we use keywords as well to stimulate stories. One word, listen to what everyone said before you, try and make a story. You ready, Danny? Go.
Weetabix is
very tasty
and
very nice. 4.
I have watched my pupils definitely grow in confidence throughout the 8 weeks, and the confidence has gone from strength to strength.
And that confidence is there for everyone in the audience to see.
Right, and you say something out of order, because your nan and granddad are always dead strict, aren't they? You say something and they give you, what's your language? How can you watch your language? I mean, for hours on end afterwards, you'll be sitting there like that, won't you? Yeah, look, I'm watching, but I can't see nothing. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the rest of the night. Thank you very much.
For the comics and their families, the evening is a huge success, and Alison is delighted.
It was absolutely fantastic. Really enjoyed every second of it. I think they were absolutely brilliant. Superb.
It is not just pupils who have come under Steph's influence. She is working with selected members of staff to help them develop comedy techniques for use in their lesson.
This pyramid is terrible. I'm proper teacher, sorry. This pyramid is proper awful. Why was it proper awful, students? It was too many lines. Too many lines.
But there is a serious side to the project.
What we're trying to do with this project is look at how it can be used in the lesson to look at learning. It might be used at the moment to relax students, it might be used to create a relationship with students, but this project is to look at actually how humour can be used in relation to learning in the classroom as opposed to just a tool to communicate with students.
There was some really good points where the class were laughing, and you see, as soon as they were laughing, they reacted to what you were saying.
Yeah.
The vital part is using the information as the first and foremost, and then the humour is placed around that. So it's not making a joke out of the information, it's using humour as a tool to get the information across.
My view is that a knowing happiness is key to intellectual fulfilment, but happiness is also an entitlement. It relieves the anxiety around taking risks with big ideas, which is at the root of creative learning. In this way, in the examples we have seen of schools deliberately planning for well-being, happiness can be seen as central to effective learning. This should become a responsibility for all schools and executed with all the rigour offered to planning subject knowledge. Happy with that? I am.